Hello beautiful starseeds, welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny. So today I want to talk with you about unattachment, specifically with energies and emotions that are coming up that you may not know where they're coming from, and that's been happening a lot to the Starseed Collective especially, but probably with the human collective as well. So I really want to talk about this because I know if stuff's coming up for me, it's almost always coming up for you. So this is definitely something that's happening right now. So let's talk about it. But before we dive in, I just want to remind you to please like this video with a thumbs up, share this video for others to enjoy and to help the channel grow. I so appreciate that. And then make sure that you're subscribed before you leave for new videos every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday on this channel. So the first thing that I want to talk with you about is that unattachment, it's not cold, it's not uncaring, it's more just about becoming the observer of the situation instead of engaging with the energy or the emotion that's coming up. You kind of take a back seat, and you can almost feel yourself doing this in an energetic way. You kind of float to the back while the emotions are at the forefront, or this energy or whatever is coming up for you right now. If you float to the back and become the observer of it, that is the easiest, cleanest way to form a non-attachment to it. Here's why this is so important. And I am just going to be real with you. I am extra emotional today, so we might have some tears, but I'm going to do my best to unattach from them. So right now there is a ton of heavy energies coming up, and Gaia it's a dark night of the soul. And this has been going on it's going to go from 2020 to 2024. It's 4 years of purging the darkness, the corruption. It needs to come to light. And so Gaia is purging, and as she purges and grieves, we all experience that. So she's purging the energy of it, of everything that's been happening in human history to her people, to her animals. There's no end. And as it all comes to light, we need to sit in those uncomfortable feelings. We need to observe them. You can't shy away or turn away from this dark night of the soul process. You need to grieve it in order to release it. And so Starseeds and Lightworkers act like channels, and it goes both ways. So not only do we bring higher frequencies down and ground them into the earth, but it goes the other way. We do a lot of releasing for Gaia. So these heavy, dense, low frequency emotions and energies that are coming up need a release. And she uses us as these channels placed all around the world in order to help her do that. It is a very noble, very important position to hold. If that's all you ever did was be an open channel for the high frequency energies coming in and the dense frequencies to be released, you would be doing so much for Gaia, the collective, and the spiritual awakening happening, the evolution of consciousness. So the way that we release them is often through our emotions. Emotions are the most powerful way to release. So that's tears, that's anger, that's frustration, that's all the feels. But the thing is that it might not necessarily be yours. Maybe it's not personal to you. Maybe it is. It could be so many things, and there's so much going on right now that it is. But it's important not to identify with it. It's not necessarily your pain. Maybe sometimes it is. Maybe it's a past life pain. Maybe it's a witch wound. Maybe it hurts you because you are a human in this life and it's human pain. But don't engage with it and identify with it and cling to it, because it won't leave. When you hold on to something, you block the flow. And right now we're purging, we're releasing. Please feel your feelings always. I'll always tell you, feel your feelings so that you can return to peace. So that's why unattachment isn't cold, it's not distant, it's not about not feeling anything. It's about not making it your own. Don't claim it, okay? Because that's going to hurt you. because it's going to stay inside of you. So just really learn to be that open channel for release, because I know how amazing you all are at bringing the high frequencies down and grounding them into the earth. Now it's coming up the other way. And we need to be open for that. That's still that open heart living, okay? Because a lot of release is going to happen through the heart chakra. It's our main chakra. This chakra is where we manifest from. It's where we flow from. Like all of life flows through the heart chakra. We create from this. We connect with others. It's also how we release. So it's really important to remain open-hearted. And some of these energies and emotions are going to be really dark and really uncomfortable, and you're not going to want to feel them, and you're not going to want to remain open. And it's very natural to want to close up when you feel uncomfortable, like it's too much pain. But it's really important for us to not do that, to just stay open and let it flow, right? We don't stop our tears, we don't bite them back, we have to let them flow. So how I've been feeling this right now is just with, in Canada, all of these unmarked graves and sometimes mass graves are being found near residential schools where priests and nuns just discarded these bodies like they were nothing. They were children, beautiful Indigenous children. And residential schools are coming to light right now. This is what's being purged, and it's so fucking dark that they were stolen from their families and told like that they couldn't speak their native language, wear their native clothing, any like belongings that they brought from home were stripped from them. They weren't allowed to see their families. They were being whitewashed. That's what that was. But they weren't treated with any kind of care, and so many died. And instead of sending their bodies back to their families or giving them the respect that they deserved, they were just discarded, thrown out like garbage. And I don't know how it took so long for this to all come to light, because we all knew that residential schools were a stain on our nation as Canada. And this maybe happens in other countries too, probably. But for now, these mass graves to start being found, I mean, probably on June 24th, the toll is like 1,323 children. And at one site alone, 751. That's not a school. That's a concentration camp. And that's genocide. And this is just one thing. This is just one part of Canada. There's so much more darkness and corruption in our governments and organized religion, in our history. And this is just one country. I mean, there are so many things coming to light right now, and that will continue to come to light. All of the darkness and the corruption needs to come to light and be purged. This is the dark night of the planet, of humanity. And just like you can go through a personal dark night of the soul and have all your shit come up to be healed and dealt with, and then at that point it is very personal. And sometimes you do hold on to it a little bit longer because you want to make sure you learn the lesson, but you do have to set it down and let it go. With this is too heavy to hold on to. Don't try. Just feel it. Grieve it. Acknowledge it. That is so important, because a lot of souls, a lot of people are so uncomfortable with the darkness, the truth of our country's history, that they don't want to own it. They don't want to acknowledge it. No, like just sweep it under the rug. Where did that get us? This is how this happened. That's how it happened to Jewish people with Hitler. This is the same. It's the same. It's genocide. It's concentration camps. They weren't schools. It's the same. And the last school was closed in 1997. So if we think we've grown since the time of Hitler, we haven't at all. We need to learn these lessons. We need to uncover the darkness. we need to fucking grow. We're going into a golden age, but before that, it's going to be really messy. It's going to be just so much heaviness coming up to be healed and dealt with. It's crazy. It's too much. But we need to acknowledge it so that it never happens again. We need to stand with the people that are really affected by this, the indigenous communities. We need to stand up against corruption, like the governments, and organized religion. And we need to do it somehow with love, even though that could feel really impossible right now because it makes us so angry, like we're so filled with rage. But we will come back to love. If we feel our feelings, we will return to peace. So this could be happening in your life, not necessarily with residential schools. Maybe you don't live in Canada. Maybe you don't have this in your country. But there are times when I'm driving in my car and I am hit with a wave of sadness. It's the same thing. Like, you drive through an area where the energy is really heavy, and Gaia sees an opportunity, a channel, a light channel, that's you, to help her release this. And so maybe you burst into tears and you don't know why. It could be a location, it could be a building, it could be a community, it could be a lot of things, but it's really happening a lot right now. And even if it's not something outside of you, even if it's not a location you're driving through, maybe it really is coming from within you, but you don't know where it's coming from. Where is this grief coming from? Where is this anger coming from? What you can do is just trust and allow it to flow. Allow it to come up and be felt and flow. Give yourself the time and the space that you need to feel it. But you don't need to go digging. That's what I'm saying. You can be the observer. You don't need to go digging and be this investigator and try to figure out, why do I feel this way? Whether it's yours from within or it's from without, just trust that what you need to know will be shown to you. That takes a lot of trust. But this is going to be a big deal because this is going to be happening now for a while. We're in the thick of a dark night of the soul. This is going to continue for a couple more years. If you try to identify with and engage with every single wave of grief or emotion that comes up, you're going to get lost really quickly. Stay centered through unattachment, through sinking to the back as the observer, allowing it to come up, feeling it, letting it flow, letting it go, and don't identify with it, don't engage with it, don't cling to it. Let it go. I promise you that anything that you need to know, from within or without, will always be shown to you. You will see it in a meditation, a vision, a dream. You will just have a download of understanding. You will never be left in the dark. Everything that you need will come to you. Your soul will never abandon you like that. So it's hard to trust and not go digging and remain in that observer unattachment state as heaviness comes up to be released. It's hard for me. I always want to know, where is this coming from? Why do I feel this way? And you know what that does? That's clinging to it. That makes it last days longer. Instead of just allowing it to flow and not identifying with it and trusting that in a day or two when I'm ready, the download will come through. And it always does. But instead I'm trying to figure it out in the moment, and I make everything so much worse and so much heavier, and that's not helping Gaia. That's not being that open channel for flow, because that adds resistance. That kind of questioning, where is this coming from? What do I need to get from this? Why am I feeling this way? All of those questions are actually a low vibration that would be like resistance to the flow. So you'd be stopping the flow with that kind of thinking. And I know that that's really hard because I get it. I know, trust me. I know exactly how you feel. I feel that way too. I want to know. I want to understand everything all the time. It will come to you. The download will come. Allow the release, and then the lessons and the growth and the download will come later when you're in a higher vibrational place, not when you're in a release. In a low frequency, Gaia just needs you, and your soul, if it's coming from within you, just needs you to go with the process, to flow, to unattach and observe and trust. And a really great way to trust is to remember who you really are. You are so incredibly smart. Your soul is so old. You're not the human. That's your physical container. You're the energy. You're the life force. You're the bright, brilliant soul. You can trust in yourself. Start trusting in you to navigate your way through things that you don't understand in the beginning. Faith, trust, allow, surrender, flow. We can do it. For me, I can feel sometimes these waves just hit. Like if I'm driving through a place, if it's not from within, if I'm going somewhere, yeah, it just hits in a wave, and you just have to allow yourself to, in the moment, even if it's an inconvenient, to just release and flow. But if it's coming from within, I always describe the feeling days beforehand as percolation. Like it starts to percolate from within me, and I know something's on the way up. It's rising up from the depths of me. And instead of adding in resistance and trying to figure it out, I really just try to be present. I try to use self-awareness. I acknowledge what I'm feeling. I flow with it in the moment. I don't try to label it. And then it will come up a couple of days later, sometimes longer, and it's kind of agony waiting. But you just have to just flow. Like, you'll make it worse. You'll make it even longer if you try to figure it out. Just flow. Just be present. Breathe. Meditate. Journal. But only feel what you're feeling right now. Don't try to feel what you're going to feel in the future or in the past. Don't look for more. What you have is sufficient. What you're being given is what you need. You are in the right place at the right time. You are feeling what you need to feel, and you know what you need to know. So have some faith in this unattachment process by becoming the observer, by not identifying, by not attaching and clinging, and step into trust and surrender and flow. So, sorry that was such a heavy video, but that needed to be said. It's coming up so much right now. If you have questions about how to do this further beyond this video, pop them into the comment section below. If you want to work with me to help the process, then I offer amazing energy healings, activations, upgrades, readings. So just check out my services in the links in the description box. And of course, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And before we go, please remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. I love you all. Thank you, Starseeds. Have a beautiful day. Bye.